All right. Well, here's my website for my unit plan on the Cold War. Here's my homepage. I teach high school social studies at a alternative high school in Des Moines, Iowa. There's a picture of me. Just had a little blurb right here to say, here are my tabs up at the top to scroll through my unit plan. Everything is up here. You have your lesson plans, the assessments tab, your standards, technology, your peer review. So you'll click on here once you're all finished to fill out a short little survey for me. And then the implementations and reflections. That won't obviously show up on there until after the peer review and I make my corrections. If you keep scrolling down, the video will be in this area about. And then I also included a short little I guess, outline to show you exactly what my unit consists of. So the first unit is going to be all about sort of introduction to the Cold War, the origins, and I also introduce the project that the students will be doing throughout the course of the unit. The second unit focuses on Cold War foreign policy, so we look at, especially dive into some primary documents where the students will analyze those and try to come up with a hypothesis as to what exactly was going on during the foreign policy context of the Cold War. At the end of the unit, we do a Legacy of the Cold War assignment where the students write a letter to the president to express their concerns going forward. All right, now let's get into the bare bones of the unit. So if you click on lesson plans at the top, it takes you to this page where I have the entire outline of all of the daily lesson plans for the units. On the left-hand side of the page, you're going to have the general outline. I'll quickly scroll through to show you kind of how it looks. And then on the right-hand side, I have a picture that goes along with each section, just to kind of have a visual for the students that I think is kind of cool to go along with it. All right, so the general outline. You have a unit outline right here, and then there are 3 sections with each day that goes along with the lesson. So the first section, pre-assessment and origins of the Cold War. And day 1 of this section, you have your pre-assessment and introduction and research project introduction. So here's the day 1 lesson. It's always on the left-hand side, immediately under sort of the topic of the day. The video that the students watch for the project is actually on the right-hand side, so they can just click on it over there. So like I said, the daily lesson introduction or instructions are right on the left-hand side, and then on the right-hand side, I have all the files that you should need for that lesson. For example, here's another one. Day 2 of the first section, United States versus the Soviet Union, also known as capitalism versus communism. The daily lesson is on the left-hand side, and then you have the PowerPoint that goes along with the lesson of that day. Day 3, you have the lesson of the day, then you have the sheet that you will need that goes along with that lesson. If you keep scrolling down, you have section 2. Okay, the Cold War becomes hot, the Cold War abroad, also known as foreign policy. And then day 4, it's day 1 of that section, but I just wanted to go on sort of a chronology of what is going on in this unit. You have containment and domino theory, the day's lesson, the assignment you will need for that day. Day 5, you have the day lesson, and then you have the things that you will need for that lesson. Day 6, you have the lesson, and then the things that you will need. I'll keep going down. I'm not going to explain it really too much more in depth. I think you get the idea. Left-hand side has the lesson of the day. Right-hand side has all the files that you'll need. And then down at the bottom, I just included the links of the pictures that I use. So I'm going to scroll back up to the top. Now let's click on assessments. This will take you to the page where I have all of the assessments that I grade my students on. I put a little note up here. I also included those on the lesson plans page. So in the appropriate spot where they go in the unit. So the first one says pre-assessment Kahoot. And then if you would click on this, it would take you to the website that where I created this assessment for the students. And then with the project, the students are introduced to the first day, which they work on throughout the units. There's also the rubric right there. The second one, capitalism versus communism assignment. What the students are doing in this one, they're doing a post on Google Classroom where they're commenting on a prompt that I give them. I just included a link to Google Classroom. It's a website where you can post assignments, videos, and stuff for students to get to. And then if you keep going down, I have the assignments that the students do. I also included the rubrics for any projects that they're going to be doing. And then you have your last one right here. So let's scroll back up to the top. Let's click on the next page, which is the standards page. I put a little note at the top that Iowa core standards are infused in my lesson plans. So if you go back to the lesson plans page, download the daily lesson plan for that day. The Iowa Core Standard that corresponds with my lesson is actually in the lesson plan itself. So to see those, go back to the lesson plans page. On here, though, I have your P1A1, P21 standards, which I put in each day. So like day 1, here are those standards that would be included in those. Those are a lot of standards because that's the research project that I have the students do. If you keep scrolling down, you have day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, day 7, and day 8. And then I have a little divider, and then you have your NETS teacher standards with each day of the unit. And then you have your NETS student standards. Keep going down, and there are all of those. So there are the standards. Let's now move on to the technology page of my unit. So here's a list of the technology that I used in the unit with an explanation of how I used it. For example, this first one, I have Kahoot. This is a formative evaluation tool that I love using with my students. Students can use their cell phones, which they really love doing, as I'm sure a lot of you deal with their classrooms every day. So anytime they can use their cell phones, they really like using it. I use this as a pre-assessment at the beginning of the unit, and I also do it with a simulation activity that I do in this unit. A couple other ones that I did, I used Weebly. This is the website, or the website they used to create this unit. Keep going down. I did a Prezi presentation with the students. It's very similar to PowerPoint, but it's a little more interactive. The students really think it's pretty slick. They like using it. I also like this EasyBib website. It's a citation tool that students use on their Cold War research project. All they have to do is type in the author, maybe the website, maybe the publisher, click go, and it creates the citation for them. It's really easy. I also used a Time Glider website. It's an online timeline tool. Students plug in events, pictures, dates, and it puts them in order, kind of an interactive timeline. It's really cool. All right, back up to the top. Here's my peer review page. So once you have looked at all of these tabs and maybe browsed through a little bit, please complete the peer review on here. It's pretty simple. Just put your name in here and then answer the questions that follow. So scroll down using the scrolling bar over here. Keep going all the way to the bottom and put something in here a little bit that maybe will help me fix my unit a little bit, maybe make it a little more user-friendly. If any of the links don't work, make sure you put that in there. Or I guess there's a spot for improvements as well. And then click submit, and then you should be good to go. There should be like a page that says you have completed the survey, thank you, something along those lines. All right, well, thanks for coming to my website. I hope that you maybe learned a little something. Thank you for your feedback in advance, and there we go.